and her name is Minerva. She's the flower of the flower.
It all started for me in 1964. I was born with a full head of hair. I remember it like it was 57 years ago. Shortly after that, I met Shelley Showtime and we got married, had a couple of kids. Marriage really grounded me. I studied hard and worked even harder to become a comic book artist. Then tragically, I remember losing my hair and I started live streaming. It's funny how things turn out. I think it's important every once in a while to go back and look at my history. And that's kind of what I did there. So I hope you enjoyed that walk back through memory lane with me. Hey, everybody. I'm Aaron Lopresti, like 30-year veteran of the comic book industry, or what's left of it. Creator of Wraith of God, Kit Carter, Garbage Man, a variety of characters that fit into what I like to call the Lopresti-verse. So welcome one, welcome all. We're going to do a little drawing today. And when I say we, I mean me. But you'll get to participate in the chat. And speaking of that, let's see who's here. Stephen Rockwood Drawing says the postman should be bringing my Wraith of God today. I'm going to assume that Stephen is... I'm going to assume that Stephen is living abroad, not with abroad, but living perhaps in Europe or someplace, because I would have thought that he would have received it by now, unless he was a European customer. So, you know, Stephen, why don't you shed some light on that for us? But yeah, I'm glad you're finally getting it. I know that the international shipping is always kind of crazy in terms of how quickly it gets there. I got people in the UK who haven't got theirs yet. Well, people in Australia have. I know people in New Zealand waited a month to get theirs. So, you know, it's all over the place. Obviously, I don't have control over that. But if, like I've told everybody in the updates, and I'll tell you right now, if you have any problem with your order, something's not right, we forgot to send you something, just let me know and I'll take care of it. So, Sequential Treasure says, eating while drawing is not a good mix. You might spill on the art you're making. You know, I spent more time, especially in my youth, and youth being any time before now, spilling ink on finished drawings, smudging stuff. I mean, I've got a terrific track record without even using food as an excuse. So, yeah. I just had a cracker with some cheese on it, so I'm good to go for at least this live stream. Prater7's here. Nighthawk Warrior Comics. Hi, everyone. How are you? How are you? Jefferson Roswell is here. I'm happy to catch a last-second live stream live. How about that? Well, thanks for joining us. Jeff Potts is here. You know, I think Ronco has a solution for that lost hair thing. You may be correct. Stephen Ing is here. Stephen always seems to be able to join us on the afternoon last second lunch live stream. So Stephen, thanks for joining us. Ellie Munoz is here. Big Raj. Now see, I don't understand these. Big Raj sends me $1.99 from Canadian. That's a super sticker. And they're supposed to be like little pictures that come with it that entertain us. And I don't know where those are at. So forgive me for blowing that up, but thank you for sending the $1.99 Canadian. I appreciate it, Big Raj. Jeff Potts, Nighthawk Warrior Comics. He's talking. He's not talking to me. Here's Tarks9 from Canada. Hail, Aaron Lepresti, Wraith of God books arrived this week. I'll post later today. Went through the Ruff's Ash Can. That, you know, a lot of people, not many people ordered the Ruff's Ash Can. In fact, I ended up, I think, capping it at 150. Maybe I went to 200. I can't remember, but it's a signed and numbered edition, which I'm going to do with all my ash cans going forward, the Ruff's ash cans, which I'm going to do in the next campaign. But people that got it have been pleasantly surprised with it. It's not, you know, it's not this huge production or anything, but it does kind of, it shows 48 pages of layouts that I did for the book. And so you can, it's nice to be able to kind of, if you're into that thing as an artist, it's nice to be able to look at the book that you bought and then have like the ash can next to it and kind of flip it open and go, oh yeah, this is the page layout he did. This is how it ended up looking when he was done. Those were only $15 and they're signed and numbered. So if you didn't get one and want one, you can contact me. I still got a few left. Let's see here. David Brohawk, as always, get to drawing, man. Quit talking, start drawing. I will in a second, David. I just got to be, you know, got to show the proper etiquette by acknowledging our chat. Jeff Potts, he's okay. Oh, well, Stephen Rockwood is, Canada is a great distance thanks to customs. Yeah, I know. Isn't that the thing? Even our Canadian friends have had to wait. It just depends. Sometimes stuff gets stuck in customs for inexplicable reasons, and then it shows up. I remember I sent a beanie to Dale Keown. It took like a month to get there. It was crazy. So, oh, L.E. Munoz. We got some insider information here. I'm a mailman, and shipping delays from the West Coast to the East Coast is at least 5 days because we cut out the airmail service to save money. There you go. Yeah, well, that'll do it too. I mean, if you're shipping to like Rhode Island, which I did actually ship to some people in Rhode Island, it's like a potential 8 days for it to get there. They don't say that's like the max. Of course, I'm shipping everything media mail too, which is snail mail, super snail mail, but it's the only way to affordably do it. Just shipping one comic, if I shipped them all first class, I have to charge you guys $15 for shipping. And that's crazy. Nobody wants that. So, anyway, let's see here. Stupid Paintings by Dave is here. Sim Inkslayer is here. Matt Hepp. Matt loved Wraith of God. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness, $20. Thank you so much, Matt. As they say, that ain't cheap. Loved Wraith of God and the sketchbooks you sent too. Looking forward to the next one. Any artists in mind to do alternative covers for Blood Hunters? Yeah. There'll be one guest artist cover. The rest will be by me because I'm just selfish that way. No, if from an insider's point of view, let's just, let's be open here. From one artist to another, there's a part of me that's kind of a fanboy, right? And it says, oh, wouldn't it be great to get so-and-so? Wouldn't it be great to get so-and-so? But then here's the reality of it. You pay so-and-so to do the cover, right? And then so-and-so doesn't necessarily bring in any more customers than you might yourself. So then you have to ask yourself, business-wise, is this a good investment? If I have to pay someone, I mean, for Dale, it was a good investment, right? I sold 320 of his covers. Okay. And so that made it worthwhile, the money I had to pay him to do the cover. Now, if I get somebody else that maybe everybody likes, but doesn't necessarily move the needle in terms of being a superstar in the industry, maybe I don't, maybe I sell half that many. And then you're kind of like, well, if I'd done it myself, I could have sold half that many. So, but the person I have lined up is big. And so therefore it's taking a little bit longer than I would be comfortable with, but he keeps assuring me that it's going to get done. I have seen the pencil sketch. I'm told it's going to be done by the 20th, which is tomorrow. I haven't heard anything from him for over a week, so we'll see. But I am confident that he will finish it. And that's why I haven't revealed the name, because until I actually have it in hand, I'm not saying nothing. But there's actually going to be 4 cover options. I'll be doing 3 of them, and then we'll have this guest artist doing 1 of them. The 4th cover, which I'll do, is a very special cover, and it'll only be available for limited times on the campaign. So like the first 24 hours of the campaign, it'll be available, then it'll be taken down. And then it might show up at, a couple other times here and there throughout the campaign. So, but I'm not going to tell you what that is either. You'll have to go to the campaign to check it out. I mean, there's got to be some surprise, right? Dan is coloring Garbage Man. I wouldn't mind using Dan on a cover for a project down the road, but I'm only, like I said, it's got to make sense for me and economically. And so I'm only going to do 1 per campaign probably. Rob Brown says, Aaron, I love Wraith of God. Great job, man. Looking forward to Bloodhunters. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for backing. No, it's not Will Spertasio. Although I like Will's stuff, that wouldn't be bad. I have to write that one down. Actually, I have a kind of a list of guys. So yeah, no, John Byrne probably doesn't even remember me. I talk about these stories where I got in a fight with so-and-so, and the thing is, so-and-so doesn't even know who I am or care. So, Aaron's get held up in custom because his books are made with crack cocaine. That's how I get you addicted. It turns out it's Dale again, just to rub more salt and sugar. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if I got Dale to do another cover before he did one for John? Wow. Heads would explode. No, it's not Simonson. The guest artist Aaron got is a big superstar artist. There you go. David actually is the only person who knows who it is. He's the only person who knows who it is. I have excellent taste in comic artists and women, I like to think. Yeah, no, it's not Alex Ross. Oh, anyway, okay, so let's get rocking and rolling, shall we? Well, you can, I don't know if there's any Vegas odds out there, but we shall say Kelly is actually someone I would like to have do something at some point. So there's Dan Lawless. Dan's happy. I just paid him for coloring this 2 pages of Garbage Man. That'll be, we'll see on the campaign page. As much as I love Adam Hughes, I probably wouldn't hire Adam to do a monster cover, although he does do real. I mean, Adam draws everything well, everything. So I'm not sure that he would do it though, if you know what I mean. Let's see here. Okay, enough speculation, you guys. This is me in an empty chair. I'm going to go over some stuff real quick that we've already seen, just to kind of refresh everybody's memory about what they're getting or what they will be getting with Bloodhunters. Oh, speaking of which, if you haven't signed up, pre-signed up for Bloodhunters, I hate for this whole thing to be a commercial, but quite frankly, it is. There's a link in the description of this video. So go there and sign up. Why? Why should I sign up, Aaron? Why should I take 5 minutes out of my day and sign up? Well, let me show you why. And I guarantee you, if you don't do this, you're going to be sorry. Because if you sign up early and then order, I mean, you actually have to order at some point, but if you sign up early and then order, you get one of these Merv the Astro Chimp trading cards. And I'm telling you, these are going to be hot, man. And why? Because Kit Carter more than likely is going to show up in this in Bloodhunters. Not in the story, but she'll have her own little backup feature in there if we hit stretch goals that I plan on hitting. So, of course, that's all up to you. I can plan all I want, but if I haven't convinced you that this is something worth backing, then I'm going to be in trouble. But I think we'll get there. And So we're going to add Kit Carter, and Merv will be, I mean, everybody loves monkeys, right? So don't be on the outside looking in so that you don't get this card for free. I mean, because then you'll have to buy it. And it's like, why pay? You can get it for free. So sign up early for Merv the Astro Chimp. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's take a look at... you know who is a real creative and draws really sexy girls? Jiminy Cricket. You don't have to look far unless you guys are doing them for free. As once again, Vic, part of that makes sense to me, but I know who Jiminy Cricket is. I didn't know he was an artist. I assume that's what you're saying, is that he draws them really well. I know he did a review of my book, but I was unaware that he was an artist. So, see? Geek Avenger knows monkeys rock. Rob Brown says, I've already signed up. Well, sign up again, Rob. Not kidding, of course. John Smith is joining us today. Hey, John. Thanks for joining us. He's down in the Southern California area. I'm sure it's sunny because it always is, right? Okay. So the exciting thing we do now is we switch cameras to my wonderful Razer Kaio high-def camera. Greatest purchase I've ever made. I know David Williams got a new camera. Finally. I don't know if he's hooked it up yet, but all right. So let's get a crisp, clean view of this page. Now, this is page 1 of the Garbage Man story, which is, I think it's about, excuse me, about 16-page story. Might be a little bit longer. There's an epilogue in it, and I can't remember if that 16 pages counts the epilogue or not. I have to go back and look again. But anyway, so it's a, we've got a little bit of buzz on Garbage Man, thanks to the Garbage Man trade paperback. And so I don't want to neglect him because I think you guys want more Garbage Man. So you're going to get more Garbage Man. Now, he's not going to be the feature in the book. Of course, Wraith of God is, because we all want more Wraith of God. But you'll read your Wraith of God story, go, wow, Aaron, that was awesome. What next? And you'll turn the page, and holy smokes, there'll be a Garbage Man story in there. And you're going to read that and go, wow, Aaron, that was awesome because it has zombies in it. So these are the first 2 pages. The story is called Night of the Living Jed. It's kind of a play on words there. I'm not saying whether or not this is Jed, but he says Ack. That's pretty much a zombie thing to say. This was a lot of fun working on, obviously. There's a lot of detail in there, so you kind of get to, anytime I draw something in the woods, it's like, oh yeah, I get to noodle like crazy. So that's in there. Those are your first 2 pages. And those, of course, are, the story will be colored by our own Dan Lawless. So there's, which I've been sharing some of that online as well. Like on Twitter and stuff. So, but if you haven't caught that, you will be able to see these in color on the Blood Hunters campaign page. And let me show you something else too, if I may. This is Garbage Man fighting pumpkin-headed characters. This will be the limited edition print. Now, as you recall, the last campaign, the Wraith of God campaign, featured a limited edition print that was, let me think, was signed and numbered, limited to 400 copies. And the print run was based on orders. It wasn't a preset print run. So I've only got about 10 of those left. But anyway, this will be the companion. It was Wraith of God with, some monsters in it. And this will be the companion piece that goes with that. These are, they're comic book sized mini prints, but they'll be signed and numbered and limited to whatever the orders come in on the campaign. And so this will be the one that's available for this campaign. And then probably the next campaign will be, something like Kit Carter or something. Anyway, so this obviously very clearly has a rights and vibe to it, which I've said before, unashamedly, that when I do monster stuff, you can pretty much see the rights and influence in my work. when I do superhero stuff, you wouldn't know that I even knew who Wrightson was. It's just weird how it this stuff sort of comes out with a different subject matter. So anyway, I got to color this. It's scanned in right now in the old Photoshop, and I got to color that. The cat from Doonesbury used to say "ack." Actually, it was the cat, Bill the cat from not Doonesbury, but oh, come on, you guys, help me out. The Bloom County. Kevin Thomas says, signing up for Blood Hunters was the best decision I made since becoming a grit salesman. Don't let your friends leave you behind. Sign up today. Oh, I should put ads in my next book. I probably will. That's such a great idea. Geek says that's pretty cool, and I say thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so this is page 1 actually from Blood Hunters, and you can't see it up here, but I have kind of penciled in there prologue. So what we've got here is we've got a ship. Now, this isn't spoilers because these 3 pages are going to be, I've got 2 of them done. I have the 3rd page I'm not done yet. These 3 pages will be in on the Wraith of God campaign page. These will be colored by our own Gabe LTA, and he is anxiously waiting for these, so I need to get my button gear and get these finished. So anyway, ship pulls in. They lower a coffin down. Coffin gets loaded up into this wagon driven by this creepy dude. And then he drives off from the dock out of town. And here's page 2, which I just finished. And you can see the background here. I didn't really do much work because I'm going to do most of it when I'm inking. But you have the train zipping along. Our creepy dude is in the train, as we can see in there. And then we cut to the cargo section where we see the coffin. And then we go down here where he's right at night now. He's riding into town, pulling the wagon. We see him taking and we find out that he's actually the town mortician, which I guess makes sense. And there he is pulling the coffin inside. And then finally in the last panel, he's pulling the coffin downstairs underneath the building, which is where he's going to keep the coffin. And of course, the next page is the big reveal of the vampire, big splash page. So, and all 3 of these pages will be on the campaign page. So again, these aren't spoilers since you're all going to be seeing them anyway. I just thought, sorry, I'm grabbing a ruler, straight edge. I had a different opening to the story, and I decided, excuse me, I decided that I really wanted a prologue of some sort to sort of set up the vampire rather than just going right into the story. And so we'll go ahead and mark in our panel lines. They used to do this. The letterers used to have to do this, right? So the penciler would pencil the comic, and then it would go, the pages, the original pages would go to the letterer, who would then, of course, letter on the board, but he would have to ink in the frame lines. It was part of his, $15 a page or whatever, $10 a page, whatever they got back in the day. Now it's between $15 and $20 a page. So it hasn't improved a great deal, but they no longer do this, right? Because almost all lettering is digital. So the inker then inherited the responsibility of inking in the frame lines. And when they first made this transition from the letterer doing it to the inker doing it, the inker got an extra $5 a page added to his rate. Well, it lasted for a few years, and then they dropped it because they just assumed at this point it's, you know, it's now the inker's job, so why should he get paid extra for it? So there you have it. Since I'm the inker, the penciler, the writer, too slow to be the colorist, or I do that too, but I've got very good people. Obviously, Gabe's an excellent colorist, so not losing anything there. And Dan, of course, coloring Garbage Man, is going to bring a really sort of wild, unique and vibrant approach to the story, which I would not do normally because I'm not the same kind of colorist he is. And I oftentimes enjoy working with people that bring something different to the table. And it doesn't bother me that, well, they don't do it the way I would do it, because I think that's part of the fun. And I've told you guys this before. When I used to have different inkers work on my stuff, I'd always tell them, they go, well, what are you looking for? And I go, look, I don't care. You do you, just make sure it looks good when you're done. And, sometimes you get screwed and sometimes you end up with really wonderful stuff. But I always feel like trying to art direct someone that has a particular vision, well, at that point, you're trying to make them be somebody else. And so if you don't want them for who they are or what they bring to the table, then don't hire them. Go get the person you want who's going to do exactly what you want. So I don't have a problem with working with artists that want to express themselves as long as they're good at what they're doing. If you suck and want to express yourself, well, then I'd really prefer you do it on your own project, not mine. But anyway, it's a tale for another time. Okay, so we've inked in the frame lines here. And now it's time to start drinking heavily. No, of course, I'm joking. The Art of Roy cover says, Aaron, you could send the colorist scans of the pencil so we can get started and then drop in the inks later and add whatever effects needed. Added over inks would speed up the process. Would it? I don't think it would, because I still have to ink it. And because I have three different stories, so I have three different colorists working on this. And I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'd rather have the colorist have the finished line work. I've discovered that I'm becoming OCD in my old age, and I got to do things in order. I've got to do things till they're complete before I can move on. It's a very strange thing. I didn't realize I was that way, but I am that way. And I'm very set in my ways in terms of how I approach things and do things, and in terms of, being organized, or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know that I would be comfortable doing that, even if it did save some time. Sorry, I had to mute for a second to make some noise that you guys probably didn't want to hear. There's Dan. Looks great. Can hardly wait to read the new book. Well, thanks, Dan. He can't wait to read the Garbage Man story. He's gonna have a blast to it, because it's gonna have a lot of old Wrights-y feel to it. So I'm sure he's gonna have a blast on that. Andrew Hayes says, wish we had more Western comics. There are more Western comics headed your way, so keep your eyes open. I think we've with Wraith of God being as well, let's just a modest success. Let's call it that. I think it's opened some people's eyes. Stephen Ing, time to get back to work. See you next time, Aaron. Thanks, Stephen, for dropping by. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Just think, for the same price, you could have gotten 3 free issues of the Marvel comic of your choice. I don't get it. I don't get it, Kevin. 3 free issues of Marvel. Are they giving stuff away free? Was it free comic book day? And it's not free comic book day. Maybe you're referring to a conversation I missed part of. Leg Kick says, Dan Lawless, Wraith of God, in my opinion, is the best book from CG. Very well written, great art and colors. Well, thank you, Leg Kick, and thank you for being here, because, of course, Leg Kick is almost always here. Aaron, it's not OCD. It's called... Did you just leave me hanging to see if I was OCD about you not telling me what... Oh, it's called experience. Now, there may be some truth in that, too. Vic, when EVS marks out the vanishing point, he chases it down to being, his shirt or arm sometimes. Yeah, there's a trick to doing that, so you don't have to do that. I'll have to show it to you guys sometime. But you basically measure out tick marks on either side of your page. It's very helpful, but it's also, you have to be motivated enough to do it. I'm actually taking a break from drawing real quick because I'm reading the chats, and then I'll get back to drawing, so hang on with me. I did see that. It's on eBay right now. That Lord Pumpkin custom figure. Did Tom Palmer just pass away? I'm seeing some like rest in peace Tom Palmers. I didn't know that. I didn't know Tom. I'd never met him, but obviously a legend in the industry. JL says, hello, everyone. Aaron, I wanted to take the time to tell you I really enjoyed Wraith of God. I'm going to have to pick up Garbage Man. Indeed, you are. First of all, thank you for backing Wraith of God, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I do have copies of Garbage Man still available, so you can contact me via email, aaron@aaronlopresti.com, or message me back through the campaign or on social media or something about getting a copy if you want one. David Brohawk Williams says Bass Reeves, West of Hell is coming. That is on sign up too right now, I believe, on Indiegogo. And that looks really, really cool. So you're going to want to sign up for that as well, because that's a terrific book by David and Kevin Grievous. And I believe Andrew Robinson did the cover for this collection that he's promoting. So, yes, absolutely. I'm going to draw him in. Kevin Thomas, he's saying, Dan, loved Wraith of God. Definitely one of the best books I backed. Well, thank you again. I appreciate that. And Sequential Treasures, never letting me forget to plug Comic Art Convo. It's next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday at 4 o'clock. We will be discussing Hitchcock films, so you don't want to miss that. There it is. Tom Palmer passed yesterday at age 81. Wow. That's too bad. Okay, so let's get cracking. I'm going to start off with a 5, and I'm going to do this the same way I did the first issue, which is I'm going to pen ink this because I want that kind of, and you'll see the pencils are fairly loose, and that's because I want to keep that sort of looseness. Now I'm going to jump ahead and do the fun stuff, which is this dude's face, because no one wants to watch me ink a boat. I don't think anyway. So we'll go ahead and, okay, this 5 is wimpy. So I'm going to go back to my 0.8. And again, I'm going to do this, I'm going to ink kind of sketchy because I'm not looking for a perfectly smooth, slick line. This dude's hat is not, magician's hat like Zatanna might wear. Can we see that? Yes. Okay. So I'm really ink these much like I would pencil. You know, I'm not trying to create this perfectly smooth line. This is going to end up being all black anyway, but I might leave some sketchiness or some cross-hatching in here. It's hard to tell with me. That's kind of the fun thing about working on Wraith of God is I get to sort of add line work just on a whim as opposed to really kind of planning it out. I think it looks good. I'm going to go with it. And so you end up with maybe doing a lot more line work on a particular figure than maybe you set out to do initially. I'll be interested to see what I do with the backup stories. I mean, we've already seen the 2 pages from Garbage Man. I'm going to ink it probably the same way, although it might be, I don't know. I was going to say it might be a little tighter, but I don't know if that's true. Now, the nightclub story, and I know a lot of people are wondering about that and the name, potentially name problems, but it's being looked into right now. So as of right now, I am not changing anything. But we'll see how it all shakes out at the end. But anyway, that story might have a little cleaner look to it than what I'm doing here. So I'll just go in and pick maybe some areas where I would use a heavier line, which is what I'm doing right now. And I can also kind of use the side of this to get a thinner line rather than going straight down where it's a thicker line. So I don't have to change up my pen too much. And with this pen, because there's no flexibility in the point, I'm able to brush out like this to get my feathering lines. Whereas if I was using a brush, I'd be going the other way. I'd go from thin to thick to get basically the same effect. But what I can't do very easily with a brush is get that sort of sketchy feeling that I'm trying to get with this pen. So you can do something like this, right, where maybe you leave that open. Let's see if we can get it there closer. In that ear, will it focus that close? Now, granted, yeah, some of this will probably just close up when it prints anyway, but that's the kind of stuff you can do with the pen if you want a little bit rougher finish that would be much more difficult to do with a brush. Now with a brush, you could kind of create a dry brush effect with some rough edges, but not in the same way that you could with creating the line effect with the pen. If you watch the Players Club, and if you don't, you should. That's on Gabe Eltiebe's channel. But it features me, Gary Martin, Dan Lawless, David Brohawk Williams, and occasionally Sergio Corello when he can get on there. And it's we talk a lot about different artists and different artists' techniques and stuff, and it's really a very much of a, what I call an inside baseball kind of channel. That if you're into that kind of thing about, you know, the artists and different art and different styles and techniques, it'd be a really good show to check out. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. And that's Tuesday nights after the Brofessionals. I think we go 8 o'clock West Coast time. So it's a little bit later, but some really good conversations are had on that show. But see, again, I can just kind of go in and do kind of a broken line shadow under his nose. Doesn't have to be solid black if I want to, pretty easily with this pen. And I can get more of a, you know, rough or angular look to these lines, because it's quite frankly, it's just inherent in the tools. Oops, sorry. Whereas with a brush, you really have to have control and focus to get those kind of lines. And I'll admit, I get a bit lazy and occasionally sloppy when I'm brush inking. And I don't have to worry about that because these pens, they don't change the width of the line I lay down is not changed by me being, you know, really careful or being a bit sloppy. Still getting the same look. So it is, in fact, easier to use, which is why people like Mr. Mike Miller like to tease me about using this pen instead of a brush. But as I've said before in previous broadcasts, I realized that I don't have anything to prove anymore, right? And it doesn't matter if you have bragging rights to say, oh, I did this with a brush. Ooh, it's brilliant, you know. What matters is, I mean, it might matter to other pros, you know, if you want to impress people or whatever. But the people you should be most concerned about are your readership. And they're going to respond to something based on how it looks. And they don't care if you know, did it with a brush or a pen. They're just going to care about what it looks like in the end. And once I finally got that through my thick head, it's like, well, you know, for me, even though I've been a brush inker my whole life, using a pen like this is very much like using a pencil. And that's, of course, what I've spent the majority of my life doing is penciling, right? And yes, I've spent a great deal of time inking as well, but not to the degree of, you know, penciling. And most of us are more comfortable with a pencil in our hand drawing than we are doing finishes with ink. So if I can ink with the same sort of loose and relaxed attitude that I have when I'm penciling, then why wouldn't I? Why would I put myself in a position where I've got to you know, suddenly tighten up and not be as free flowing as I would be with my pencil. So all those things I took into consideration and when I made this sort of switch. Okay, so this is going to be a crosshatch that's going to basically, it's going to go solid black in here. We'll put in the old X's to signify the black so I don't forget. Like, I'm not going to forget to fill that in, obviously. You can see how quickly I can lay those lines down there And it's not, again, it's not about the perfection of the line. It's about creating the feel that I want this to have, and texture, or whatever, however you want to describe it. Okay, so then this is going to end up being solid black here. Now, also, I'm giving myself a lot more work here. Well, not a lot more work, but more work by doing all of this kind of unnecessary cross-hatching, where I could just fill this in black. But again, I think it's part of creating the feel, the artistic feel of the book. I'm sorry, I keep hitting that camera with my other hand. And even though no one may stop and look at this collar and say, wow, look at that cross-hatching he did on that coat, it's going to help reinforce that sort of rougher spaghetti Western feel that I want this to have. So in terms of economy, yeah, it's not the greatest decision, because I'm spending a lot of time doing this, which, in the big scheme of things is probably unnecessary. But I like the look of it, and I think it adds to, again, what I'm trying to get across stylistically. And, I'm setting my own deadline. So if I think maybe this can take me longer than I thought it would, well, then I just give myself more time in my deadline on the campaign, so nobody's getting mad at me for being late. Of course, I also recognize the importance of getting books out as regularly as possible, especially if you're trying to grow a line of comics. Putting out a book once a year or once every 14 months is probably not the best plan. Now, Wraith of God did take a year from start to distribution, and that was partially because of printing problems, and also that it was an 84-page book. It wasn't just a 20-page, or 48-page story, or even a 64-page story. So I'm going to go all black with this. And of course, when you got that many pages, it takes time to do it, especially if you're going to do it right. But, you keep people informed like yourself. If you back the book, I think you just keep people informed. Let them know where you're at all the time. And then you don't have people sitting around having no idea where their book's at. You guys know exactly where Wraith of God was all the time, because I let you know. And I will continue to do that. As we move forward with this project. So we're going to have 3 stories, potentially 4, probably 4, almost definitely 4. And, but you're still going to be looking at, ultimately, when all's said and done, probably about the same page count of 84 pages. But it'll be fun for me in the sense, or more fun, that I'll have a sense of completion much sooner, because the Wraith of God story won't be 79 pages, which it was 80 pages, excuse me, which it was in this last campaign. You know, it'll be 30 some pages, and or something like that. I don't know. I still haven't. The finished script is still not finished, so I don't know exactly the page count. But you know, you're gonna have potentially 15 pages of Kit Carter. You're gonna have a 16 to 18 page Garbage Man story, and I don't know how long the nightclub story is yet. I've got it plotted out, but I don't have any script work done on it yet. So, you know, and these stories are going to end up being what they need to be. So if I need to add pages, I'm adding pages. So you could end up with a book that's even longer than what I just put out. But I'm still going to try and get it out faster. You know, I'd love to have it from launch to in your hands no more than, you know, 9 months. But again, printing stuff is so out of our control right now. And Billy Tucci often laments that, you know, back in the day, you know, he would turn in a print job and get it back in a week, you know. And, yeah, those days are gone, at least for the time being. You can see this is kind of I had this discussion with Gary Martin on Players Club. That's kind of a Wrightson-y line work there. But you saw how randomly I just did it. And so it wasn't like a conscious thought of, I know what I wanted it to look like, but there wasn't a conscious formula on how to get there. I just, you know, was noodling here until I got the effect I wanted. And I think you can probably see that that's probably how it happens for a lot of artists. I don't think they technically sit there and go, okay, well, I put lines like this and I put lines like this and I put, you know, they just sort of kind of go with it until it creates the look and feel that they want, or texture. And so you get an idea, not formulaic way to create something, but an approach, systematic. Maybe it's a systematic approach would be a better way to describe it. I mean, I know, like, if I stopped right there, that's a fine crosshatch. The idea, though, is that it's not, it feels too structured to me. So now I want to come in here and then I want to get loose over the top of it. Maybe do some lines like this. And then maybe do, pardon me, some lines like this. And maybe I'll just scribble those lines on there, right, to kind of get it that more random, looser feel that I want, right? See? And now it's kind of looser and more spontaneous feeling. You know, random maybe isn't the right word, but it does have a spontaneity to it. And those are, you know, those are qualities that I value. You know, other people may like stuff that's just like super, super tight and really, you know, almost porcelain slick. Not me. Well, it's not going to be. Randy Howell wants to know: will Nightclub be an origin story or straight to action? Well, there won't be an origin story for the team. There will be a little bit of backstory. I don't like to necessarily just. How do I want to put this? I think you need to develop goodwill with your audience before you slow things down and say, oh yeah, here's the origin. I mean, people want to know the origin, but you don't want, 15 pages of very little action and a lot of origin until you've earned the audience. And then they're going to stay with you for that. And the origin, the team origin is it's more of a collection of individuals, sort of like the Avengers, rather than a team that was formed based on the creation of those characters, like the Fantastic Four, right? These are going to be people that had powers that have decided to work together. But there is gosh darn it, I got to quit hitting that camera. There is an origin to that, but I think it's more, you'll see the structure of how the team works, and then each character will have its own origin at the appropriate time. I think maybe that's the best way to put it. Okay, now I'm jumping in here with a 0.01 to get these finer lines in here. And this is where I can go in with this and just sort of kind of get sketchy and noodly with the line work. Holy crap. Sculpting George. I don't know. Ron 50. I don't know what that is. Is that like, I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh. Hello from Transylvania. I should get Wraith of God any day now. I can't wait to read both Wraith of God and Blood Hunters. Thank you. Sculpting George. There was one person, I don't think it was the one from Romania, but it might have been George. It might have been you. I'm trying to get a hold of a guy that part of his address was in non-English letters and stuff, and the post office wouldn't accept it. So I've been trying to get a hold of this guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't think it's you, George, but it could be you. So check your messages from Indiegogo and see if you got anything from me. And after this video, I'll check the campaign and see if it is you. But actually, if you got an email notice and a tracking, then it's not you. But basically, someone sent me their address. Actually, no, George, I know it's not you. I think it was, his name started with a V. But anyway, they sent me this, and I can't send them their books because the address is, part of the address is in the alphabet lettering of this country he's from. And so I need it to be Englishized. So I've sent him several emails and he hasn't got back to me. So I'm kind of sitting on it for right now. But thank you for the $50. Is that Romania? Is that what RON is? If you're in Transylvania, that's Romania, right? But that's really cool. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let me know when you get it, because I'm always living in fear of the international shipping, that something may go haywire someplace in customs or whatever. So there you go. Reminds me of Jack Davis. That's not an unfair assessment. I love Jack Davis. Creative Face says, I like the loose, rough look. The slick look always seems to be stiff and rigid. It does. When you get too caught up in loving the line and not looking at the overall effect or overall picture, you can run into, you can have that happen. And again, everybody has different tastes on stuff. So I'm not going to say it's wrong or bad. I'm just going to say it's not the look I'm going for here. Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, is you sort of introduce the team and then we slowly get information about them. I'm not sure. Oh, that's another conversation. I'm not sure what's going. Oh, okay. I got the email notice and it's all good. Okay, good. So it's not you. Good. That's excellent. There you go. Paul Oggs helping me out. Transliterated. That is exactly the word. That's a big word for a guy like me. Oh, I see. Yeah, it looks, that's horrible that happened to you. Yeah, I actually broke my wrist too. It wasn't because somebody attacked me. It was because I fell off some bars. But I'm thankful at this point. I don't have any sort of arthritic pain or any sort of joint pain as a result. But you can also hold the pen a little bit looser too than the brush. You know, I have a death grip on the brush, and that's not probably the best thing for your tendons and your joints. Luke says, Kevin Thomas, and you're invited to my video premiere at 6:30 and my streams at 10. So there's a little promotion for Luke Korolowitz. That's got to be it. Stippling Vaughn says, I stipple you're being a speed demon with beautiful cross-hatching. Thank you. But it's, again, you know, it's funny. The more you practice, the years you have practiced something makes it look a lot easier than it actually is. Thank you, Vic. You know, there's an interesting thing. You bring up the 90s, and we can specifically say image, right? And the image influence on books in the 90s, that some of that stuff to me looks dated. And my influences are mostly 70s. And although in the 90s, that wasn't a great influence to have because it just looked like old-fashioned, boring artwork. But the 70s stuff was more traditionally drawn, Buscema, and more illustrative on some levels with Wrightson and Barry Smith and Mike Plug and guys like that. But they were using, most of the artists at that time were using more traditional approaches. I mean, Walt Simonson, Walter's was more of he was more stylized than a lot of people at that time. But he was, and that's why I think he got noticed so quickly, because of his stylized work and his really sort of interesting and graphic storytelling. But what you find is that, like, the 70s style, if you will, that was the influence to me is more about traditional art, which really can be acceptable at any time, right? But the 90s style was such a so focused on style. It was so stylized, and it was so consistently stylized. I mean, it was a definite look. And when you have things like that, they can feel dated. And I kind of feel like that look, you still look at it and say, oh yeah, that's cool or whatever, but it does kind of feel dated, or it can. I'm not even sure why the point of that rant was at this right now, why I started it, but there it is nonetheless. So I guess if your influences was Image or the 90s, you probably need to be careful that your stuff doesn't feel too, that you evolve it a little bit past that point. Of course, everything, comes around, goes around, right? Now, for the sake of finishing this panel, I'm not going to use a brush to fill in these blacks. I'm going to use a marker because I can do it quicker so you guys can see what it looks like finished. See, sometimes I'll put line work in over the top of the cross hatching. So I'm going to get like feathering lines out of some of this other stuff. And it just helps give it more texture.
I didn't even know you were streaming.
Oh, I'm always streaming.
So it's
Shelly Showtime's in the house.
Well, they know I've been chatting.
Oh, have
A
you?
little bit, yeah. Because I was just on YouTube and I was like, oh, hey. Oh, my gosh.
I know that guy.
I know him. I know him. What you talking about?
Drawn.
Stuff.
Yeah. So I can just kind of go in here with this pen and do this and just, you know, dirty it up, grit it up a little bit. Because I'm not, again, married to this kind of notion that every line has to be perfect, and I'm going for a look. And so that's kind of the fun thing about doing this style is I'm just kind of playing around with it. I got to be careful I don't go too far, get too much line work, because, I mean, after all, it is going to be colored. But it is tempting to say, ooh, if this was a black and white magazine, I could just go nuts.
Geek Avenger was like, is that you before your morning cup of coffee? If you only drank coffee, you do only like in the most dire Comic-Con morning situations.
I've got to be pretty wore out, and then I'll drink, you know, like I need something to help me wake up. But it's so rare. I don't know. What's more rare, me drinking alcohol or me drinking coffee?
Coffee.
What do you say?
Well, does kombucha have? No, it doesn't have alcohol in it.
No.
Okay, then I might say alcohol. I don't know.
You just did
It's been a long time. I guess I said both. I'm so indecisive. All the drugs, all the drugs.
Well, I don't. What she's saying is I don't drink either. Right?
No. So let's see. I know Geek Avenger said the sketchbook was awesome, but somebody else said they really enjoyed it. I gotta go back. Oh. Mark Burtonshaw? Burtonshaw? That's a new one for me. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
All right, so I'm going to take a marker now and fill in this black so we can do it really quickly.
Kevin Thomas, good idea. When do you plan to do a Wraith Q&A since everything is now shipped?
I'm so glad you asked because we're doing it this Sunday.
Did he tell you to ask that?
I forgot.
No, because that would require planning. He's still in shipping mode. Every once in a while I keep hearing the tape sound and I go,
well,
is that in my head or is he shipping something?
No, I've had some people come in that didn't get on the campaign and wanted some books, so I charged them a few extra bucks, you know, because
well, yeah.
If you're in the campaign, if you're a backer, you get the better deal. It's
exactly.
Just the way it works.
Brohawk.
We are actually, Shelly and I this Sunday are going to discuss, give our review of the Terminal List.
Oh.
Which we watched recently.
Yeah, we did.
Chris Pratt. And then we're going to open it up for a little Q&A about Wraith of God, and
we should probably do a fulfillment thing. What did we learn
doing
fulfillment out of our house?
Never to do it again. No.
Actually, half of the fulfillment area, we've cut it in half now. So the cleaning lady was at least able to. Yes, I have a cleaning lady. Don't judge.
Okay. Well, we have a cleaning lady that comes in like once.
Well, it's been a month because of my surgery, but she just does the floors, the bathrooms, and the floor, so stuff that like old Shelly can't do. Let's see. John Smith, Jeffrey. Oh,
Okay, so
all my favorites are here. Just don't tell the people that aren't here. That just my favorites are here.
so let me finish.
Oh, my bad. It was going so well till Shelly came in.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You're
So we're
off
gonna do
camera,
a Q&A,
honey.
so you can.
Off camera. Ooh, that's a good one.
So we can. I'm going to answer questions about Wraith of God, the graphic novel, and the Prestiverse questions in general.
Oh,
I will reveal what I can reveal,
salut.
and won't reveal what I can't reveal, which seems like an obvious statement,
Yeah.
but there you go. All right. So you
There's
can see,
some stuff happening on the DL. Someday you can share
yes.
when we know for sure what's happening. Got to head on home from you're at work. See you, Jeffrey. You're not old. I was born before you, or I don't think so. Yeah, don't rat on me for having a cleaning lady. It's a very worthwhile $100.
That's $100 for that.
Yeah,
I'm going to become a cleaning lady.
I know.
I got to transition to become from an artist to a cleaning lady, a male artist to a female cleaning lady.
Well, you know, it can be done these days.
That's true. Okay. So now you can see how that blend is starting to
Ooh,
take effect. There we go, without the reflection. So it's actually a nice little solid black break to crosshatch. And of course, we'll see the same thing down here in the coat.
David.
What, Williams?
Says, what are you spotting your blacks with? Don't say slave catcher. Oh, you don't.
Is that Williams that said that?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's see.
Well, you had a Copic.
Yes.
But what amazes me is that you're so accurate with a big old Herkin marker.
Well, you know, it's what I do.
Past Master Dan, I can't make out the avatar. I don't have my glasses on. I've been too much iPad this morning, so my eyes are all blurry.
You see, I'll go back in and crosshatch over the top of the black to make sure that I've got a nicer blend going from black to crosshatch.
Ouch.
Okay. That's one creepy, gnarly dude.
Yep.
So we got to do his glasses.
When I was looking at those wrinkles,
Yeah.
can you figure out who I was thinking about?
Hopefully not me.
No. Who is it? We just were like, ew.
Oh, from
Yes.
yeah, from the terminal list.
Yes.
Which we'll discuss on Sunday.
Oh, Wrinkle Central.
I'm going to go in and beef up some of these lines here. This forehead, but shaken.
Yeah, because those aren't. Oh, some serious. I call those thinking wrinkles. So I didn't even ask. Which one is this from?
This is Wraith of God
Wraith?
Bloodhunters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you've been busy.
Oh, I'm?
Have I seen you in 2 days? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, Gabe's getting on my case because he wants to get. Oh, this page is coming. Look at the color of me. I was like, okay. And plus, I got to get these done, or I can't launch the
Right.
next campaign.
When did you do this?
Oh, I did that last year. That was originally for the Garbage Man trade paperback.
Oh, that is cool. What's in Aaron's flat files?
Yeah, we showed this earlier, but there it is
Oh.
again. This is going to be the limited print that's available on this campaign. And I got to color this as well. So I've got actually quite a bit of work to do before I can launch, but I'm hoping to get it done in the next 2 weeks so that we may launch. All right, so there you go. There's our creepy old Undertaker who plays a pretty good, decent-sized role in this
Wow.
next story of Wraith of God. But he is not the main antagonist. Of course, the vampire is, who we will meet on the very next page.
Yeah.
Which
Mr. Leathers. It's a past Master Dan. Mr. Leathers. Seriously forgot to moisturize.
Well, you know, have you ever seen a good
back
looking
then.
back then in a movie? I was going to say, have you ever seen a good looking Undertaker? But I'm sure there are nowadays. But you know, back in the movies and
Yeah.
back in the,
John Smith.
you want creepy dudes or Undertakers because you can't trust them. They gotta be creepy looking.
Pretty shady.
Very creepy looking.
So I'm curious. Okay. Oh my gosh, my eyes are so bad. I got to pull this one up. It was bigger. So Dan asked, he's curious how you ink the ellipses on the wagon. These are your templates?
I did. I used circle templates, but then I'm going to freehand them when I ink it.
Let's see what it's the same age as my the youngest of my older sisters. What? No, I am old.
Not as old as me though.
No. But oh.
All right, so I think that's pretty fantastic. Been on for a little over an hour.
Nice.
We don't want to bore the audience, but
well, that'd be a switch. You don't want to bore them. Whoops, there.
So this is the most interesting thing on the page. I don't think anybody wants me to. Oh, I could ink this dude here.
Oh, you had to file in California.
No, I told you I had to
00.
I signed up for a seller's permit for San Diego, but then didn't go. Oh, but they still expect you to file a.
I didn't know that part.
Form. So
gotcha.
And there it is. I made no money.
None.
So therefore, I'm liable for no taxation. I hope. Of course, it is the state of California. They may still try to get money out of me anyway.
Well, you were thinking about going $800.
Yep, exactly. If you want to think about doing business in California, it's going to cost you. So basically, what we have here is in this panel the coffin of Count
Chocula.
No, what was his name? Isn't that funny? I wrote it and I can't remember now. Someone know. It's not Orlok because that's been used, I think. It's not Count Ortega. That is not a Spanish vampire. But anyway, he's being loaded off the ship, and there's just some dock worker down here yelling as a foreground element. Kind of stuff I like to put in.
Hi, Husker.
Just for the fun of it.
Hi, Husker. What's going on? What is it? Is it time to play? There he goes. Count Biden.
Good old Count Biden.
Oh, funny. Okay. Oh, Husker. All right, I'm going back to bed. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, Shelley.
My nemesis gravity is.
And we shall be seeing you again on Sunday.
What you doing? What's it doing?
I know it kind of sucks that I have to keep turning the page, so you guys aren't getting to look at it like right side up. You gotta look at it from an angle because I have to do it. And see, I can go in and put a lot more line detail into this mustache that I didn't actually draw in the pencils. Stop shaking. Stop shaking. All right. I've said this before, but I'll restate it here that it was doing all of the online cons and sketches, shows that got me super comfortable doing drawing with a pen so that everything didn't have to be perfect in the pencils. So that I could actually go in and approach this story the way I wanted to. Now, those of you who are regulars on the Sunday show will remember kind of that story I did for the Swedish publisher that apparently has not gotten published. And that was actually my sort of experimentation or litmus test, if you will, for inking and doing my line work this way. And when I was able, I had some hit and misses on some pages on there, but overall, I really liked how it came out. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this and make it work. Boy, I got to tell you, I know a lot of you guys work digital, and I know a lot of younger generation artists work all digital. I just, man, I understand the convenience and ease of it, but boy, I gotta work on paper. I gotta do it the old-fashioned way. But since I'm really not working commercially, I'm working, for myself, that deadline is not, again, a huge issue. Where in commercial art, it is. And almost all film artists are, doing stuff digitally now too. So, and I think that ship has sailed for me. I don't really. Well, at my age of upper middle-aged, shall we say, I'm not going to be walking down Paramount Studios or someplace and getting hired to do storyboards or design work, unless I, hired somebody much younger than me to go in and pretend to be me. Maybe I could pull it off. So this is what I'm saying is this is it for me, folks, right here. Forming my own company, publishing under my own banner. That looks like that's going to be I will probably finish out my, dare I say, illustrious career, which I don't know that I would say it was illustrious, but it was a career nonetheless. So we'll go ahead with a marker here, fill this in for the sake of economy. And there we go. So now we got this grungy old dock worker and this creepy old undertaker. Of course, our dock worker is just a guy looking to make a buck. And our undertaker has much more devious plans. But you'll have to actually read Wraith of God Bloodhunters to find out what his devious plans are. So I think that's the that's the marriage we want, right? You want a really good story, some really good art, and you'll probably have a successful book. So those are things that I'm trying to accomplish every time I set out. Do the best art I can, give you the best story that I can, and the fact that I've only written limited series and some one-shots here and there. I haven't used all my story ideas at my after 30 years in the industry. I've still got tons of ideas that have yet to be expressed. So I may be an old artist, but I'm a young writer. So we'll see how that combination works. Anyway, we'll take a quick look here. I'll straighten this out. Oh, low angle shot, coffin coming down. It's a simple wooden coffin. It's not going to be too ornate or anything. But there you go. That's what we've accomplished so far today. I'll get the rest of this page inked today and off to Gabe so we can start coloring. And get this thing ready to launch. How about that? When I get to penciling the third page, the big splash page with the vampire, we'll do a live stream on that too, because that'll be fun. But anyway, let's see what parting shots you guys might have. There I am again. Follow those dreams and keep dreaming. You know, I'll say this as a youngster. What really motivated me throughout life was the dreams of stuff that I had yet to obtain, right? The goals. And even at my age, those are still important, because kind of settling in and just saying, okay, this is what I'm doing for a living, and, you know, okay, I'll do this job for a paycheck or whatever, you know, that doesn't necessarily motivate you. I mean, paying your bills motivates you. All right. A lot of us don't want to get up and go to work every morning, but we got bills to pay, so we do it. But sort of that dream of still being able to accomplish something, something new to you, in this case, successful, large scale, well, that's relatively speaking, but large scale publishing. And I've done books here and there, small stuff. The Raw Imagination book was probably the biggest independent publishing project I took on, until Wraith of God, obviously. And trying to do a company, Empire Comics. Actually, the company is Cold Crocodile Press, but the label is Empire Comics. And, you know, having accessories like T-shirts and shot glasses and perhaps playing cards and other things, trading cards, stickers, you know. In a lot of ways, it's new territory for me. So those are kind of now the dreams that replaced, you know, young Aaron when he was in film school thinking he was going to be the next Spielberg, or, you know, could I be the next Bernie Wrightson or Arthur Adams or something as I was breaking into comics. Well, maybe now as I'm writing and drawing my own stuff, maybe the dream is, can you be the next Frank Miller, or can you be the next, whoever. But those dreams have kind of re-energized me here on the last half of my career, to continue to not just get by, but to actually achieve something and to work harder and get better. And that's what what I'm constantly dealing with and trying to do with Wraith of God. So hopefully Blood Hunters will be a better experience than Wraith of God was. And we just keep building and going in that direction. Dan Lawless says, Aaron, drawing isn't much different on a computer. It has its advantages and disadvantages with time. Often it's much faster to draw on paper. Well, then why do you draw on computer, Dan? I don't know what people, you guys are talking about stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to, Geek of Interest says, when I was a kid, I used to like to watch those fancy candle makers that came around the mall around Christmas time. I find myself drawn into drawing your comics in a similar manner. I'm like a flame, right? It's just burning and you have to watch the flame. To follow that dream, or that dream may lead. Elvis didn't lead in the right direction for him after a while. You may be old, but we think we'll keep you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Past Master Dances. Love your stuff, Aaron. Thank you. Nick Edwards, just got my Worth of God BNC Garbage Man and sketchbook today in the UK. Excellent, Nick. That is the kind of stuff I love to hear. Makes me feel relief, quite frankly, that those are getting there. So, Aaron, I regret to say that I never had read any of your comics till Wraith of God, and I feel really stupid for it. Don't feel stupid, Mark. I've been doing this for 30 years, and you'd be amazed at, haven't gone to a convention in a while, but when I was going to conventions regularly before, COVID, you'd always have people go, oh, I wasn't familiar for your work. What did you work on? And then you list out, the 25 titles you've drawn, and they're kind of like, oh, so it's easy to get lost in the shuffle because most readers aren't people that focus on a given artist or even a given writer. They focus on a title, a character, and they read the stories, and they can tell you all about Spider-Man, but they couldn't necessarily tell you who was drawing him. And it used to be easier because back in the day, 70s and 80s, and prior, a certain artist and a certain writer would work on a book endlessly, right? So there, you can talk about John Byrne and Chris Claremont's X-Men, right? Because it was a lengthy, significant run. You talk about Walter Simonson's Thor because it was a lengthy, significant run. Frank Miller's Daredevil, right? Jim Lee's X-Men. But nowadays, and this is actually a reaction mostly to the success of the Image in the 90s, publishers did not want artists becoming superstars and having leverage. So they kept moving us from title to title to title. So I may be best known for Wonder Woman, but I only did a year and a half on Wonder Woman. So I did maybe 13, 14 issues of Wonder Woman, or Planet Hulk, which I did, I don't know, 10 issues maybe of that. Even Ms. Marvel, which I was on for a year and a half, might have been on that longer if they weren't canceling it. But, that was another 14 or 15 issues. That's not a very long time when you consider back in the day when guys were going 30, 40, 50, 60 issues, or a 5-year run on a Fantastic Four or whatever. So it's not unusual to have no one know who you are because they just may not have come across the book you were working on or reading the book while you were working on it. But if you liked Wraith of God, Mark, I recommend to check out the stuff I've written myself, like Garbage Man, which was originally published through DC, but now, of course, we have the trade paperback that's available if you haven't read that. Power Cubed, which also was published through Dark Horse. My Metamorpho miniseries through DC is not too shabby if you're interested in that kind of thing. Of course, I worked with Dan Jurgens on Justice League International. Like I said, I had a lengthy run on Ms. Marvel, Planet Hulk, Excalibur, the newer Excalibur with Chris Claremont, Mystic through CrossGen, some really nice stuff in that. So yeah, there's a variety of stuff. I've been all over the place and hardly anything I haven't worked on at some point. My local funeral home has a beautiful female undertaker. 10 out of 10 would rise from the dead. My dad was a typical, he was born in 31. So, you know, he was a meat cutter for Safeway, and he also did door weather stripping as his own business to make extra money. So he was a workaholic. So I was kind of raised that way, but he had no appreciation for what I was attempting to do. And until the story is that we were both sports fans, and we were up to Trailblazers, which is the NBA team here, the Portland Trailblazers. They were playing the Seattle Supersonics, who are now the Oklahoma City Thunder because they moved. But when they were still in Seattle, we got on this bus, this fan bus thing people charted, and we went up to watch this game in Seattle. And we were talking, and that's when I had finally broken into comics and was making a living at comics. And that's when I told him that I actually made more money than he did. And that's when he finally respected what I was doing. He's like, oh, well, okay. You know, so, yeah, old time dads were not necessarily dreamers unless your dad was Walt Disney or something. They were just hard workers. I think that was pretty awesome. Hopefully not your final magnet. Yeah, hopefully not either. I will say that until we get to the end of the line with Wraith of God, whenever I decide to make that transition, and those of you who've read Wraith of God and read the epilogue are getting kind of a hint of what could be in store down the line. But until I get to that point where we leave Wraith of God behind, if we ever do, and move directly into the modern day Lopresti verse, the stories are going to be more akin to what you would find in a monthly series that you would have read in any other book. I mean, this one I just did is a graphic novel. Okay, it sets everything up, and it's an adventure in and of itself, but sets everything up. So it's a much grander scale than the stories that'll be following, which are more. They'll still progress everything, but then the final magnum opus, if you will, it will be pretty big. If I decide to, if there comes a point where I think I need to, transition Wraith of God out, and get out of the Western and get to modern, which may or may not happen. It depends on you guys when and how quickly that happens. There, look at that. Marcus Killed. My dad read all my comics. So there you go. My mom was like that. My dad, not at all. My dad wouldn't even go to movies. I mean, he'd fall asleep in movies. So he just wasn't an artsy entertainment kind of guy. Anyway, okay, so let's wrap this sucker up. It's been about an hour and a half. I think that's plenty. I will continue to work on this. You guys continue throughout your day doing what you do best. We'll see you guys Sunday night with me and Shelly, where we'll talk about the terminal list and open it up to you guys' questions and answers from me, questions from you about Wraith of God. I'll answer what I can. There probably will be spoilers. So if you haven't read it by Sunday, I'll warn you, you might want to mute certain parts of the show on Sunday. And also, it is important. For you guys to like and subscribe. So if you haven't, please do that. And again, if you have not ventured over to the Wraith of God Blood Hunters campaign, the pre-launch campaign, pre-launch page for the campaign is what I'm trying to say. The link is in the description of this video. So please zip over there and put your email address in there so that I will know who you are and I can give you updates as we get ready to launch. There you have it, everybody. Thank you. And hopefully we will see you Sunday evening. Enjoy your weekend.